So what I was tasked with was observing reality. So I'm there, I'm observing what's happening in reality, and I have to find a way of translating that reality, translating what's actually happening, and commemorating that on paper. Now, there was a point to this. There was a point to using paper. For me, paper was faster. It fit. It worked for me. It worked for what I needed to do. I remember a few codes where I attempted to document straight into the electronic health record as things were happening, and hell, absolutely not. No. In fact, I was pulled aside, and my homegirl told me, she was like, "Nah, girl, you will miss everything. We can't have you as no scribe if you're there trying to into the computer, just hooking adenosine." He said adenosine 30 minutes ago. You still over here trying to get it in the drop down. So what that paper did was it helped me set the foundation to jot my memory for that event, that experience, to be later on to be reviewed, but also for me to take that and commemorate it in the electronic health record, because nothing matters if it isn't in the electronic health record, and we all know that. Okay? So I want you to think about this. In a critical event, in a situation like this, in a code, when someone's heart stops beating, and all the king's horses and all the king's men come in, the technology that team relies on to the technology that the scribe relies on, is paper and pencil for a reason. I want you to think about that. It is paper and pencil, or paper and pen. Sorry, their pencils are not allowed anywhere near the hospital, right? But it was paper and pen for a reason. For a reason. I want you to think about this and how we're going to be freed from the paper. Finally, we're going to be free from the shackles of paper, right? You might have to discipline me, because I would have to go and figure out very quickly how to leverage that electronic health record in a more efficient way. Now, again, this is not just about paper. This is about technology. This is about reality. This is about workflows. And this is about how different portions of a process might leverage different technologies. And that is dictated by the context of the situation, the limitations of the technology and the users, right? And the entire purpose behind the intervention itself, the practice itself. And in this case, it's ROSC. The goal is ROSC, return of spontaneous circulation. While that code is running, the entire team, including the one calling the code, the provider that is calling the shots, the nurse practitioner that's calling the shots, the nurse supervisor in the middle of the night, because none of the providers are there, calling the shots or running this code until somebody else comes and relieves them of running the code or whatever. The defibrillators are already on the patient's chest, right? You're already getting signals. You're already getting information. You're already getting data flowing from the sensors on those defibrillators, analyzing the rhythms, analyzing the electricity, the current, and what's going on in the heart. That machine, that defibrillator, may not be connected directly to the electronic health record. Chances are it is not. That thing can talk, because what are we going to do? Sit here and read? It speaks. It speaks. It will tell you, hands off the patient, analyzing rhythm. It talks. It lets you know what's going on out loud, what it's about to do. For example, as I said, hands off the patient, clear, analyzing rhythm, right? it will say that it's analyzing the rhythm. While it's analyzing the rhythm, it might say shock is advised. It's not going to automatically deliver that shock. Someone, a human, has to touch the machine after making sure that everybody's clear. Clear means hands off. Nobody's touching the patient, because this shock is not for all the king's horses and all the king's men in the room. The shock is for the patient, and it needs to be delivered at a certain time for a certain purpose. And to make sure that that shock is delivered to the right person and does not put everyone else at risk, before that shock is administered, before that button is pushed, that person checks and confirms everyone's hands up. No one is touching the patient before they administer that shock. It's verbal. You hear it. It gives information to the entire team, but also to that provider that might not even be in the same room or the same state who is running the code. It gives them the data that they need to proceed with the mission, the goal, the objective, the whole point of this meeting and this use of technology. So what can happen, and this is what people are warned of all the time, is some folks can rely very heavily on that technology and think that things are done when things are not done. Some people can mistake signals, take signals out of context. The goal is, at least in part, for there to be return of spontaneous circulation. And of course, that circulation has to be of the quality. It has to be of the quality to where it will actually sustain life, where it will actually do what it's supposed to do, which is to perfuse, to deliver this oxygen, nutrient-rich blood. That machine, that thing, is limited, and that it cannot tell you. It will not indicate, because it cannot and it shall not indicate the return of ROSC in and of itself. And here's why. There's this thing called PEA, Pulseless Electrical Activity, and it happens all the time. Let me break it down. Pulseless electrical activity. So it's saying that you still have electrical activity, right? Your electrical activity might be, your ventricles, they're sending the signal in all the right times and all the right places. The signal's going out. But if there is no pulse, there is no circulation. And pulse isn't, well, yes, there either is a pulse or there isn't a pulse, but there's also quality. There's a quality aspect of it too. There are descriptors to a pulse, because there are some pulses that will sustain life, that are capable of sending that blood where it needs to go and returning that blood wherever it is, the prodigal blood, come back, right? So yeah, there's that, right? But without a pulse, the mechanical part of it, you can send all the signals you want, but without that pulse, there is no return of spontaneous circulation, which means, regardless of what that thing says, it will only communicate what is electrical to you, because it shall only communicate what is electrical to you. But when it comes to humans, what is electrical and technology is not the end-all be-all, especially in this case. What has to happen is the pulse has to be palpated by a human being. At least right now. I mean, surely they have compression machines now. Surely those machines can reach out and put their finger, whatever filament, whatever, the robot, whatever, can put its paw on your carotid. But until someone decides to build that technology, I just don't know why anyone would. Until then, you have to have a human. You've got to have a human touch. You've got to have a human come in and palpate that pulse. And hopefully it's not just any human. Hopefully it's a human that's trained and capable of assessing by palpation. It might, dare I say it, be the same human that's trained in auscultation. I think of all of the skills that we have that we're trained to use in healthcare to assess a patient and the progress of a patient. Palpation, which is literally feeling. You literally have to take your hands, not your foot. You literally have to take your hands and feel. You literally have to feel. And the more you feel, the better you're trained in feeling and interpreting that feeling, the better you become at leveraging that aspect of assessment. For right now, in the current state of ACLS and ROSC and getting a person's heart to beat again, you still have to feel. You still have to palpate. That is the key information, the key data that you can gather, is that feel. And when you feel, I'm not trying to get deep. This is not a double entendre. It really isn't. There are some pulses that you can see, that you can literally see, visualize. You can see it. Carotid. You can see it. There are some, if you're doing CPR on a person and they wake up, they open their, and they're gasping and they're coughing and they're crying or whatnot, you might not need to palpate that pulse. I mean, still do, but clearly you are witnessing the spontaneous, or the return of spontaneous circulation. So spontaneous being intrinsic in their own. They can do this themselves. They don't need support. They don't need aid. They don't need external manual hands forcing the circulation to happen, right? But there's that. And I'm there scribing the whole time. Until they call it, I am scribing. And I am scribing on paper for a reason. But there are three events that take place. One is the actual live event in reality at the time, in real time, as it happens. That is happening. And then there is a lag. There's what is happening in real time, and then there is the time between what's happening in real time and me scribbling whatever the heck I need to scribble on that paper. There are certain things that are on that paper that are absolutely concrete, and that is the time that adenosine went in. Push it fast, right? It's the time that adenosine went in. It's the time that ROSC was established and confirmed. It is, mostly the medications. It's the times that we were hands off and all of that goes in there. And then I leave from that environment, as everyone else does, because after the code, there's a mass exodus. If you are crazy enough to look behind you, their room is just in shambles. Crash carts there. There's wrappers of all sorts of stuff. There's the headboard of the bed is gone. I don't have time to look behind me and be like, nah. I am heading to a computer, so I can take what is in here and what I saw here and what I tried to abbreviate here in my paper, right? And get that into the electronic health record. Now, let me tell you about the experience of putting that stuff into the electronic health record. I have my paper. I have my outline. I have my context or whatever the heck is. Because after a few codes, you get a better idea of what information you need or I need in order to enter or provide the best quality commemoration in the electronic health record. Right. And at this point, like, everybody's breathing down your neck as well. Hold on. Let me get this into the electronic health record first, right? So I'm going through my paper, and of course, it's not going to be something as simple as me. Oh, could you imagine how cool it would be if I could just scan that in? Ooh, that'd be wonderful. But no, we're not going to make it that simple. We're not going to say that now. It is endless clicking. I could be in that electronic health record, entering in the details of that code for a longer duration than the code itself. And actually, that's true of a lot of things when it comes to documenting an electronic health record. Is easily the intervention itself that I am commemorating doesn't take as long as commemorating the intervention. And that is if the technology is working as it should be, or as we're told it is. But, if you work nights or weekends or whatever, things happen, and that's kind of where you live is, okay, let's work around. Keep it moving. Let's work around. Let's work around the technology, right? So yeah, so there's that. And then of course there's the nature of the necessary evil of structured data fields and whatnot, where I have to, click on this screen and do this drop down, and if I'm lucky, a quality professional came in and made a view that's specifically for running codes or for documenting codes. Oh, then I only have one dashboard or one interface to deal with where I'm putting all this stuff in. But it's still a lesson in translation. I still have to translate everything from here and here. And of course, this is not my long-term memory, boo. I'm doing this the same night or the same day as the actual code happened. You can't I'm not going to go home. Let me go ahead and let me sleep on this. Or let me do this let me do this later when I come back after 3 days of not, or let me take care of this other patient real quick and then No, it's immediate. Like, I got to do that immediately. There's a point to that. I mean, obviously, like, liability wise, yes, you can't have that level of lag, right? But on a practical level, it's very important for that information to make it into the electronic health record as accurately and as quickly as possible. And some folks can rely very heavily on that technology.
Look out for new updates.